Dude, we still can't hear people, man. Tell them to speak up. Sorry.
Sure. I would like to announce to our council that we are in receipt of a letter of retirement from Chief Joe Borough. And I would encourage the council to accept that and accompany the agreement that will be offered for consideration. Before you vote, I would like to take this opportunity, first of all, personally, Chief Borough, to thank you. The chief and I have, well, he's the only chief that I know as mayor, but for your service as chief, but I think it's, I want to say, is it 33 years? 32 years service to the Perkasie community and the police department as an officer, sergeant, and then chief. So I thank you for that, chief, and I wish you luck in retirement.
Thank you. Thank you, chief. Thank you, chief. At this point in time,
Jim, I'll make a motion to accept the letter of intent to retire from Chief Joseph B. Gurra Jr. to be effective January 31st, 2013.
I'll second that.
motion on the floor and a second to accept the letter of retirement from Chief Joe Brewer, not an intent, a letter of retirement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? No. One against. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, council. Second order of business would be to accept the separation agreement.
Jim, I'll make a motion to approve the retirement separation agreement between Perkasie Borough and Chief Joseph B. Gurra Jr., which will specify the conditions and terms of the chief's retirement.
Second. Motion is second on the floor. Any questions regarding the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? No. One no. Motion carries.
Jim, I'd like to make a further motion to approve the appointment of Perkasie Borough Police Sergeant Stephen Hillius as interim acting chief of the Perkasie Borough Police Department for indefinite period beginning on February 1st, 2013 and ending at such time that a new permanent chief is appointed by the Borough Council or at the Borough Council's discretion. Sergeant Hillius will be granted all the rights and privileges of Chief of Police during his interim period and will be paid additional compensation of $1,000 per month above his regular salary for sergeant while acting in the capacity of interim chief. There will be no overtime compensation paid to Sergeant Hillius, Acting Chief Hillius during this period.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Any questions regarding the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Finance Committee, CEO, John?
Thank you, Jim. First, on the agenda is consider the ordinance to increase the tax collector's fees. We discussed this,
We did discuss the last meeting in December, and it was recommended by the staff and the solicitor that we do this in ordinance form because our current ordinance is very incomplete, and then moving forward allow the council to change it by resolution. The solicitor did prepare a draft ordinance, and Dana, if I turn this back to you a second, I think we talked today about one more little change, which would include some of those miscellaneous fees that are not captured anywhere now. I did send a copy to the tax collector to keep that in case she has any comments or wants to add anything. Do you want to just address that?
Absolutely.
How you change that, make this easy?
And again, the purpose of this is to try and consolidate all these fees into one place so that residents and also our tax collector can look in one place and know, I mean, not that you wouldn't know what the fees are, but that everybody who wants to see will know where to look because they're spread out all over the place. The only addition to under section 46-3C, I would add triple I to add postage and administrative fees as set from time to time by resolution. the county, and correct me if I'm wrong, the county sets some of the tax collector compensation fees and administrative fees as they see fit. They've set these from 2014 through 2017 by resolution at the county dated December 28, 2012. So that would be my only addition to the proposed ordinance. Does anybody have any questions? Judy, do you have any questions? We want to exchange some emails. Is everything in order?
That's correct. It is not part of compensation. It's administrative allowance to cover the costs of the government.
Any question, any input from council?
I think it's good to include that. Makes sense.
And I'll include that in the commission.
Any other questions on that? Hearing none, authorization to the bills.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Economic Development Committee, Borough.
We need a motion to advertise the ordinance. Okay. So moved. I'll make a motion to advertise ordinance number 961 for consideration by the Borough Council at their regular meeting January 21st, 2013.
Second. Motion and second to advertise. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, now we'll go back to we have a renewal of lease with the third floor tenant, Fitness That Fits.
Yes, it's a current tenant, the lease is going to run out, let's see here, in a few months. She's asking for an extension, but she wants to do only a 6-month extension. And the reason for that is understandable, because new business moving into the first floor, and she wants to make sure they're compatible. Her initial thoughts are that she believes they will be compatible, and if so, she may be there a lot longer. She's asking for a 6-month extension, and we are pretty much, we are recommending that extension be approved.
We need a motion for that.
Understanding it. No, we can wait at the next meeting to do this, just for discussion.
Does anybody have any questions or discussion on it?
No, it seems like a good idea. She's done a good thing.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, the next item is a discussion of Perkasie Town Association. Joe, would you like to come up and talk about it? Let us know what you're doing.
We've reached our fundraising goal of $20,000 in matching of what the borough has committed. So Steve Barth has actually begun work as of January 2nd and has already, I think, created an atmosphere of excitement and optimism among the business community so far. I know we had a productive meeting with Dan on Friday. They came up with some pretty interesting ideas on how things can progress, and we're looking forward to some big success fairly soon. So my request tonight is to release the $20,000 grant that the borough, $20,000 matching grant that the borough has allocated, either in one lump sum or potentially we could invoice you quarterly at the end of each quarter, if that's okay.
We have a plan of action, Joe.
I do have the document here. There's a memo that explains the different things that he has.
Joe, that did come today,
Okay.
after email, obviously made, but council didn't have a whole lot of time to see it. I emailed it for those who were able to open it earlier.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're only seeing this summary
Okay.
for the first time. See, here's your 3-page letter
Yep.
with the executive summary and the amounts.
In general, we expect them to help the existing businesses that are here now, to help draw in new businesses, to promote the borough in general, to help develop some strategic goals for the borough, to meet with community organizations to determine their needs, meet with individual business owners to understand their needs and challenges and maybe suggest solutions, and some creative concepts for growing the community. We've already targeted some of the specific areas that we know he has to address. One of those being the Seacon buildings, which we think will become vacant towards the end of 2014. We think having a proactive plan in place to have someone to fill those buildings so there's no vacancy, I think is very important. And that's one of the things he's going to set his priorities on. But I know just the feedback that I've gotten from business owners in the first week or so has been overwhelmingly positive.
Joe, just for, I did receive the email, and all the information looks great. Looks like he's got a solid plan, but just for the residents' sake, can you just go over a little bit more of that stuff, just so the residents can because they don't get this info.
Sure. The executive summary says the Perkasie Old Town Association, the Penridge Chamber of Commerce, and the Perkasie Borough Council agree that economic development is a priority and has developed an approach that will have tangible benefits to the businesses, residents, and government of the borough. We think the mission of the economic development program is to revitalize Perkasie by creating an environment where businesses can grow and thrive by providing goods and services to the residents of the borough and surrounding communities. We've raised a total of $20,000. $6,000 of that has come in direct grants from 2 banks, and the remaining $14,000 comes from Perkasie Old Town and our individual members. So we have the money in hand. The way we have the reporting set up is the economic development manager will report directly to Perkasie Old Town president. He or she, but in this case it will be he, will attend our monthly board meetings and report on his activities. He will also come to Borough Council meetings twice a year to report on his activities. Matt was just elected to the Perkasie Old Town Association Board of Directors. He'll be attending our monthly meetings, and he can give you a brief presentation on what Steve is reporting at our monthly meetings. But he'll be happy to come here twice a month. We think that's probably the best use of his hours, to come here twice a year and give you a report and answer questions. I know one thing that's been a question in our minds, how are we going to measure success? How are we going to know if he's doing a good job? And I think that the typical ways that you measure success will be difficult. Filling empty storefronts, creating jobs, developing open space, they're all going to take some time. That's not going to happen in the first 3 or 4 months of him in town. But we do think that with Steve just meeting with local businesses, holding some kind of educational seminars, making connections with county, state, and federal officials, they'll be the things that we can track in the first few months. We really think that early on, his work is going to be involved in developing a positive atmosphere in the borough, a sense that something special is happening, and that will inevitably lead to overall success for the business community. We are proposing, and Steve has agreed to, a $35,000 salary that will cover the equivalent of 2 days a week work. I don't expect him to be here 2 full days a week. This is not the kind of job that he can just devote 8 hours a day to. This is going to be ongoing work, project-based work. So we think it's going to be the equivalent of 16 hours a week. But he will be in town quite a bit. We've also set aside $5,000 for reasonable expenses that he may incur. We're going to set up a separate bank account at First Savings Bank, and all monies will be deposited into that account, and all checks will be written out of that account and be dedicated only to economic development. Other than that, if you have any questions,
Thanks, Joe.
I'll be happy to answer.
Joe, yeah, just one more thing. We received another email. I don't know if you can go into any more details, the things he's looking into. I know you mentioned the CCAP building.
Right.
I think a lot of that stuff is a great start. You know, I mean, like I said, I think this is a solid plan. Me personally, I would propose that we would, do payment quarterly. But I think with continued, briefings from that, to the public and the newspapers that this is ongoing. These are the things that are happening. I think it's going to be
So I can tell you a couple of things that Steve has mentioned specifically to happen over the next, say, 30 days. One is to meet with local banks and see if they can develop a pool of low-interest funds that would be used to help new businesses come into town. So a portion of whatever money they need would be at a lower interest rate. The rest of it would be at a market rate. But if they're blended together, you still get a lower rate. So that would be a tangible project that he's going to attack right off the bat. Another one is to encourage the Bucks County Economic Development Corp to hold their monthly meeting here in the borough and invite as many area realtors as we can so that they're on board and understand what we're trying to accomplish, because that's going to be a big factor in filling any empty spaces. So there, and one other thing, he's been successful in Hatboro with a social media marketing seminar where he can bring in an expert from Constant Contact who will explain to people how they can leverage email marketing, social media, and website development all in one to help them.
So the meeting I attended on Friday as well, he's been out talking with any business person in town who I think will give him a few minutes. So he's really out there putting his finger on the pulse of what's needed from the current businesses. I think he has a good sense of what we need to do to bring in some business, some empty spaces. He's talked to the owners over at Constitution Square. He's got some good insight into some of the vacancy issues there. I was, pleasantly surprised last Friday to have, heard the progress that he had made, and the time seems to be very well spent.
So we want to maximize those hours that he does have.
It seems like he's already hit the ground running.
Yeah, that was, we did spend quite a bit of time up until, January 2nd, informally discussing how he was going to approach things, but they were off the clock. So he's on the clock now, and I think being productive. And of course, we want him to be in place and understanding all the dynamics when the Bucks County Planning Commission's report becomes available, so he can help us implement what some of the recommendations are there. One thing we hear a lot about the Planning Commission, they do a great job telling you what to do, but then it's up to you to do it. And we think Steve will help facilitate that quite a bit.
And his input may be important too.
Absolutely.
Along the way.
He was.
Is he also reaching out to other communities, our neighbors?
He will
Like
be.
sellers?
He will be reaching out to sellers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a positive also.
Very good.
And he's got a lot to do.
Nice team.
Thank
He's got
you.
the agenda. He's
If
got
you
the
entertain
agenda.
a motion this evening. So I'd like to make a motion to support economic development throughout Perkasie by releasing 2013 budgeted funds to Perkasie Old Town, the economic development manager position, the $20,000 budgeted monies are to be released in quarterly increments, $5,000, with a 6-month review for council and Mr. Borough.
It's a motion on the floor, do we have a second?
Second.
Any motion in the second, any questions regarding the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Joe, is the ferry still there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Joe, I just want to thank you because I know how hard you personally have worked, and especially the Board of Old Town to bring us to a point where I believe we have an opportunity now with the help of a professional consultant to go forward and help grow the business sector of our community, which is good for everybody. Obviously, there's never any guarantees, but I know, Joe, how much effort you personally have put into this, and I thank you for that.
I appreciate your spirit here. Thank you.
All right. Anything else to come before economic development committee? Hearing none. Suzanne, you have my copy of what we just talked about, and you had asked about this. I'll put that up here for you. Constituent outreach is the way.
We just have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow night at 7 o'clock to waive the holiday spell on Monday, so we'll be here tomorrow instead if we're on call.
Thanks, Jim. Matt, you want to talk about?
Yeah, Jim, The only news I have is I'd like to set up a meeting for Monday, the 28th of January. So Suzanne, Dan will get an email out to us, and also please invite Mr. Rush. Have it advertised for 6 p.m. on Monday, the 28th of January.
Thanks, Matt. Welcome.
We can mention too that the drop box, our drop-off box has been delivered to the police department, and we're looking to get that installed, and it is installed. Great.
Thanks, Dan.
So we'll be getting the word out about that through our website, newsletter, and also I would expect will be in the county brochures. So glad to see that done. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Suzanne?
It's you and me and who's the third one?
Jim Purcell.
Oh.
Mr. Purcell.
I'm Jen. All right, anything else? Any other business coming before council at this time? Hearing none, this is our opportunity for a second public forum. Anyone in the public would like to approach council? Any address?
Rebecca Militic, 254 North 4th Street. Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a great holiday with the family. I did. You mentioned that our chief of police is retiring. I know through the shooting and the mayor said himself, you know, there were certain things you couldn't be very forthcoming on, and then in hindsight, there were other things maybe you wish you had been a little bit more forthcoming. This is coming pretty sudden after both reports were released. Does this have anything to do with the shooting, or is this a personal issue? Maybe you might, for the residents who are still very unsure and try and find confidence back in their police department again, maybe to do some kind of announcement, because I know that's going to be a big question for some of us residents. In regards to the new police chief that you will be looking for, would you be considering someone maybe outside of Bucks County? Someone who hasn't come up through the ranks with the other officers, not have so much affiliation, where they can be, maybe a true person to look up to. Is that something that you may be looking for? And if so, maybe do a statement about that for us. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Anyone else?
I just wanted to echo what Matt said tonight, and Joe about Steve Barth. Also was at the meeting for representing Chamber. I believe Steve will do a good job here. I think he's engaged in the best interest of not only Old Town, but also local businesses in the town. So I don't know if all of you have met him yet, but Matt has. I think he'll do a good job.
Thanks. Thanks. Anyone else?
Yeah, Andy Rumbled again, South 8th Street. Again, it's increasingly hard to hear a lot of you during the meeting. I was wondering if there's anything been done about this at all. I mean, it's kind of ironic that some of you tell other ones that you can't hear them, and then we can't hear you. So, I mean, if you're gonna sit back like this and talk, it's a big difference in talking like this. So, I mean, has there been any kind of change or something looked into being done about this?
Just that real quick, as long as everybody's talking.
All right. Well, the only other thing I'd say is about the recycling program. I know that it's been mentioned that there's a law now that, you can't throw stuff out, and you also might want to try to communicate to people that for some of this computer stuff, there's value in that, and you can take it to recycling places and get paid cash for that because there's valuable metals inside that. So, we might want to try to communicate to residents that they can get, because I know I've taken computers before, and you'd be surprised the amount of money you can get back just for, a computer or two and a laptop, because there's gold, titanium, all kinds of metals in there. So, maybe the residents would appreciate some money back to help pay for their electric bills that went up 66%. Thank you.
Anyone else?
First of all, I'd like to offer my congratulations to the Chief of Borough. His staff and ours have always worked well together. Just wanted to leave this with the Council President. It's my year-end report. Last year we ran 314 calls, 48 training activities. A few points just to bring to your attention. Of the 314 calls, 127 were in Perkasie Borough, 67 were in East Rockdale Township. To summarize, the staff provided almost 8,400 man-hours of service to the community last year. There's a lot of other details that are in here, the incidents, responses to the municipalities, and our staff training is all in here. So I'll leave this with the Council President. I did give a copy to Andrea for your staff, so you have it also.
Thanks, Chief. Any other business? Anyone from public forum? No. Any other business coming to the council? Press or nothing from press? We will be going into executive session. Hey. Not be convenient.
Council will be going into executive session under section 708. For Sunshine Law to consult with its attorney or other professional advisor regarding information or strategy in connection with litigation and issues on which identifiable complaints are expected to be filed. This will be discussed in the event.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Where can we take it?
What?